Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about the rhythmic hardback adventures problem that is specific to Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, right? So I think it's a pretty significant problem. Let me define what the problem is. All right, so I think we have this really significant problem within the hobby overall, which is the rhythmic hardback adventures problem, okay? And here's what that problem is specifically. So within the span of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, came out in 2014, now we're in 2018, that's 4 years. During that period, we have seen the rise of streaming, and this has impacted the game tremendously. Streaming has impacted 5th edition in a way that it has not touched any other, really every other version of Dungeons & Dragons was free from the impact of streaming. But streaming has truly impacted our hobby, and it has changed the shape of our hobby in a way that has tremendously helped the hobby in some ways, but I fear maybe damaging the hobby in some specific ways. And this rhythmic hardback adventures problem is one of the distinct ways. Okay, so streaming comes up, right? And then, paired with that, Mike Mearls made a product decision, right, about what would be created for Dungeons & Dragons source books and what would not. So in every other edition, there were player option books and there were setting books, okay? And then there were adventures, okay? Now, the product decision that Mike Mearls made for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition was that Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition would have no player option books, and like Player's Handbook 1, like Player's Handbook 2 is a good example, right? And it would have no setting books, like there's no Dark Sun setting book for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I'm completely aware of Guilds of Ravnica coming out that may qualify as the first setting book for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, but as of I'm speaking of this day, today, there are no setting books for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, right? So, what does that mean? So you have this situation where, but then the books that are being created for Dungeons & Dragons, right, they're all hardback, right, that you can buy off the shelves. They're all hardback, right, and they're all adventures. Every single source book is a adventure, right? Now, what this has created is Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition adventures are leaps and bounds ahead of adventures that were created for previous editions. They're not even comparable, right? Back in first edition and second edition, modules were so minimal. They might be 30 or 40 pages. They're all black and white, and they're printed as like a pamphlet, right? They were the same size as the regular books, but the idea of a hardback adventure in first, second, third, and fourth was either unheard of in some of the editions or extremely rare. Now, in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, it's a complete change, and these hardback books are being dropped about every 6 months, right? And you got a lot of them. You got Rise of Tiamat, you have Curse of Strahd, you have Storm King's Thunder, you have Waterdeep Dragon Heist, right? And there's several more in there, right? So you have these adventures, and they're coming out, right? Well, here's the problem, right? The problem that we have is I would say the unholy marriage of that's a bad term. I'm going to back that up, right? I'm sorry. I'm specifically watching Chilling Adventures of Sabrina the Witch, right? So, and it has all these weird witch things in there. Sorry, let me back it up. I'm going to use the Dagger of Time from Prince of Persia. Boop! All right, I'm going back. All right. So I'm not using that term. It's using this very odd pairing, okay, of specifically hardback adventure books, right, and streaming. And it has caused this terrible, terrible problem, in my opinion. Here's the problem, okay? Now, I'm going to call out one specific YouTuber on this, but many, many high-end YouTubers are guilty of exactly the same issue. And here it is. All right. Taking 20, Cody from Taking 20 ran, and this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. He ran Storm King's Thunder, okay? It took him 16 episodes, and it came out to 32 hours, right? So that was 32 hours of his time, and it probably took him 2 to 4, maybe a lot longer, time to edit it. You're talking about 35 hours of Cody's time and 35 hours of 4 other players' time, right? But 35 hours of his time minimum, maybe considerably more, to create, and that doesn't even talk about his prep time or anything. You're probably up around 40 or 50 hours when 40 or 50 hours of time spent by a creator, right, which is Cody from Taking 20, to stream the hardback adventure Storm King's Thunder. Well, I can hear you. You're like, well, what's the problem with that? Here's the problem, right? It is pretend. It is a fakery, right? It's fake, and here's why. Okay, Cody from in my opinion, Cody from Taking 20 is taking a huge amount of time to run Storm King's Thunder on his channel, right? And what that's telling new players, and even and even older players, especially the way he ran it, it is really highlighted. It's incredibly well done, and frankly, it's literally professionally done. I think there it might have even been like funded, right? But if you look at the game he ran, it is done at a level of expertise and at a production level that I have never seen any other game done on Taking 20s, and that some other channels can't even touch, right? There was incredible amount of time and attention poured into this game, saying, this game is special. I'm presenting it for you, right? So you're going to see me as a game master. You're going to see Storm King's Thunder. You're going to see Dungeons & Dragons, right? And everything about this stream, the level of care and attention that Cody is giving this game, right? The amount of time that is being dedicated to this game, right, indicates that, what you're seeing is Cody of Taking 20 displaying the pinnacle of the game, right? But the reality is that's what the production level values, the time and attention point to, is that you are watching a skilled veteran game master, performing at the pinnacle of the game, right? And the reality is it's the exact opposite. The reality is the exact opposite. This is Cody of Taking 20, a skilled veteran game master, performing at the nadir, the bottom of Dungeons & Dragons. Pre-generated adventures are for, in my opinion, new dungeon masters, lesser dungeon masters, and lazy dungeon masters, right? And that's the issue I have, right? Is Cody of Taking 20 is not any of those. He's not new, he's not a lesser DM, and he is not a lazy DM, right? And to me, that's who they are for, right? And if you look at these streams, they're coming out like drumbeat. They're coming out rhythmically, right? The books are coming out rhythmically, and as soon as they drop, everybody's like, I got an opportunity to get my content out here. I got to stream this game, and I got to do an incredible job of streaming this game. because every other YouTuber out there, every other Dungeon Master D&D YouTuber out there, or Twitch streamer is going to run the same thing, and I want my content out there at first or at the same time as everybody else's. And huge amounts of time and attention and production values are going into these streams of the worst, lowest, most ridiculous part of our hobby. Pre-generated adventures are so hand-tying for dungeon masters, right? Here's your scene. Scene A leads into scene B. Oh, let's get fancy. Scene B might lead into scene C, D, or E, and then E could branch into F or G, right? Like a branch, right? A skilled veteran game master, right? They can use location, artifacts, non-player characters, right? They can use relationships to spin the game in 50 directions in every scene, right? Skilled veteran game masters can allow worlds to spin out into intricate tapestries that only their imagination can build with a few notes and on the fly, right? And so seeing these skilled veteran game masters again and again and again, highlighting the most rank amateur content, right, of our hobby, which are our adventures. Adventures are not as intricate. They do not allow as much freedom and as much play as player option books or setting books, right? But currently, because we have this odd pairing of hardback adventure books, right, and streaming, it makes it look like these pre-generated adventures are the pinnacle of our hobby, and they are the nadir of our hobby. It makes it look like it's the best that we have to offer, and they are the absolute worst that we have to offer. When you are seeing Cody of Taking 20, Dungeon Master, Storm King's Thunder, you're seeing him at his worst. You're seeing him at his absolute most limited, right? He has not brought you the ideas that are in his head and heart, right? He's having to suppress them constantly, right? You're getting his worst at every turn. You're seeing the most subpar performance he can possibly give you, right? Because his imagination is bound. It is bound with cords, right? By that pre-generated adventure, right? Now, there is absolutely nothing wrong with a new Dungeon Master running a pre-generated adventure, okay? There's absolutely nothing wrong with a lesser Game Master, right? A Game Master who's Game Master, 20 or 50 sessions, and they're still working on their confidence. That's almost always the biggest problem any Dungeon Master has, is just building their confidence, right? Almost never is it a lack of imagination, a lack of artistry, a lack of creativity, or a lack of intelligence. It's almost, I would say 99 problems out of 100 for all dungeon mastering comes directly from a lack of confidence, right? So you could say it's totally okay for a lesser dungeon master to run pre-generated adventures for a period until they blossom, until they actually find their confidence and then move into their own personally generated adventures, right? Their own custom work, right? And then also lazy, right? Now, there's no excuse, but I'll tell you right now, I know so many incredibly talented people, and I don't have time to write my own adventure, right? Well, the reality is, the reason why they're saying that is they haven't taken the time to learn how to craft adventures on the fly, how to allow your games to go off script, that kind of thing, right? And they have the creativity, they have the artistry, they have the intelligence, but they're lazy. They won't do it, right? Now, here's my issue, right? Cody from Taking 20 is not new, he's not lesser, and he's not lazy, right? So why is he running these games? Why is he showing these at a level, in my opinion, that he's not showing any other games? Why is he putting in more time and investment into these games than into his own? And the reason why is it is this rhythmic hardback adventures problem, right? Streaming rewards the best dungeon masters running the worst content, right? And so these pre-generated adventures, which are the bottom of our hobby, right, are being elevated to the top of our hobby, and streaming rewards it literally financially, and this is a problem. Now, the reality is, this is not Mike Merle's fault, and this is not Cody's fault. This is a problem that no one could have saw coming. No one could have saw this coming, right? This problem grew organically on our hobby like kudzu, okay? But it's here now, and I am calling it out. I'm calling it out. When you see a skilled veteran game master, right, dungeon master, running Waterdeep Dragon Heist, you need to understand that they have beautiful, brilliant, wonderful custom adventures in their heart and in their mind that are being suppressed to run this bottom of the hobby content. Bottom of the hobby content. It is the worst. right? This is one of the very, very, very few things I don't like about Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and it's not Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition's fault. This only happened because Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition actually happened to come out when streaming exploded, right? So I feel bad calling out, Wizards of the Coast for, but their decision to not make player option books, to not make setting books, has helped this problem to grow, right? And then you have all these incredibly skilled veteran dungeon masters out there who are saying, I can give the world this beautiful, precious snowflake. I'm not using that in a bad way. This unique adventure that is only in my heart and mind. Or I can run the 55th version on YouTube of Waterdeep Dragon Heist. I know what I'll do. I'll run Waterdeep Dragon Heist because I'll get 10,000 views per episode, whereas my own one will probably get 1,000 if I'm lucky, right? And it's a terrible, terrible problem, and I really feel like I needed to call that out. And I'm sorry I used the term unholy marriage. That was I swear to you, that came straight from watching this very morning The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which is all about witches and unholy, tons of different things. So sorry about that. All right, so that's my thought. What do you think? Please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you.